And I apologize every now and then. You guys are going to hear my desk partner. She is also taking class today. So you will hear her beautiful voice in the session.
You get well used to it these days. All sorts of noises.
Mm-hmm. Octavio, Colin wanted to share a couple extra files that we're going to use when we configure the Intuitive BI piece on the server. How do you think he should share that with us? Should he just email that to us, or do you?
Yeah, Colin, are they just links?
No, I've got a zip file with which contains an XML file and a text file.
All right. Okay, then I can send you a OneDrive link, and you can just upload it there. Is that best for you? I don't know how big the files are. If they're small enough, you could also just email it.
They're small.
Okay.
I'll just email them to you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
And Octavio, the files that Pedro passed on to me are in the C drive in a folder called Intuitive BI files. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're supposed to do with them, but I put them there.
Okay. Do we also have Papercut running on this server, or do we have an instance of Papercut running that we're going to connect to today?
We don't have Papercut running on this server. The data from this that I pulled is from one of our customers, but we don't have a backup of their database. But we can connect to a different instance. We can connect to EcoDemo 01. That's fine. Okay.
So the way that the installer, the Intuitive installer, is built at the moment is it's optimized around version 20 of Papercut, but we can get it to work with other versions. So what version of Papercut are we going to be connecting to?
It's the latest. It's on 20.003.
It's on 20. Okay. All right. Why don't we go ahead and start the installer, and then I can talk you through it.
Octavio, do you just want to install Papercut on here real quick? I mean, if how much is it going to do to our Papercut?
So what it will do during the installation, we'll need to give the installer a path to the data integrations folder on the Papercut server, and what it will do is it will write a properties file into that folder.
Okay. Yeah.
And then once that properties file is complete, you'll need to restart your Papercut service to get it to activate that.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's up to you, Octavio, if you want to just install Papercut on here and use this one, or use EcoDemo. That's fine.
Sounds like you're guilting me into installing Papercut on here.
No, not really. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it's doing much to Papercut.
Yeah, I don't mind bumping the EcoDemo 01 service. It's not too bad.
All right.
Okay, so this is the first thing where we need to input something. So we need to specify the SQL server where Intuitive is going to create its database for the dashboard configuration. So you can see in the dashboard instance, you'll need to put the path to your SQL server.
And if I already have an existing database, like just a blank database that can be wiped?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it require any kind of specific string, or this is just the host name or IP address?
It's just the host name.
papercut, papercut and papercut if you want. If you
Well,
want
this
to
is
keep it generic.
for this is an empty database.
Yeah, I was gonna create a new database over there, and you can use that the credentials from the papercut database, so that you don't have to use your credentials.
Okay.
Are you gonna create the database, or you want me to do it?
Well, there's already one in there, the Octavio test
Oh, okay.
database
Yeah.
that I just use for whatever.
Yeah, no, let's go ahead and create one for Intuitive, though. And then give papercut the SQL papercut account access to it.
I don't have to specify, Colin, I don't have to specify the database, just the.
No, just the SQL instance. Perfect. Okay, you can go to the next step. So this is the name of the database that will be created.
Go ahead and try. I don't know if papercut has the ability to create a database, but see if it'll create it. And
So you could call this something. You could call this intuitive_dashboard if you want to.
Yeah. So if that account doesn't have access, it'll give us an error here.
Yeah. So here, just click server install. Essentially, there's two ways you can run the software. You can, if you're running it on a laptop that doesn't have IIS, you can select the top option. But for most installs, you just want to select the server install, which will run the website through IIS.
Okay.
So that's fine. Okay, you can just click next here. So this is the properties file that it's going to generate for papercut. So the first thing is we need to give it the path to the papercut data integrations folder.
So a UNC path should work here, right?
It should work, yes.
All right, should be fine.
Okay, you can click next. Okay, so it looks like it had a problem creating the database.
So we'll have to rerun the installer.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if you can connect to your SQL instance using Management Studio, just to check whether.
Yeah, it's not installed on here, but I can check. Did you end up creating that database, Jeff?
I did not. I thought we'd check to see if papercut could create it. But is it okay if we just pre-create the database, a blank database, and then give that a papercut account access
DB
to
owner,
the database?
DB owner permissions.
Colin? Or do you need the software to actually have the ability to create databases?
I think for the purposes of the install, for the purposes of the install, we need it to be able to create the database. Because it's going to create it, and it's going to create the structures in there, the tables within there. Once you've done the install, you can, what most people do is put it under run it under different credentials. so that it's just got read-write access.
I'll let you decide, Octavio, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'll just use that test database that I use
All right.
for everything.
I just figured since you do use it for everything, you know, it'll get wiped eventually, and then this won't work.
Well, we can just back it up and restore. Actually, let me make sure. Okay.
Okay, that looks better. So if you want to, first of all, if you do a restart of your Papercut application so that we've got some data to work with. So yeah, so we should start to see that data directory that you're looking at there. We should start to see that become populated.
So how far back will it pull data from?
So if you go back up one level and look in that properties file,
Whatever it says in there.
yeah. So in the installer, it was set to look back 600 days. You can obviously adjust that.
Okay.
To bring back as much or as little data as you want, and then what it will do is each maintenance routine, it will go through a cleanup, and as you can see here, it's set to clean up files older than 60 days.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we had something further back enough, because there's not a whole lot of people in the office. I don't even know if they're printing. I was wondering if maybe that's why we weren't getting anything yet. But that 600 days should definitely cover some printing activity.
Yeah.
I would hope.
I think it's just taking a little bit for the service to start. Yeah, I just checked the log. It's only just now coming online.
Yeah, you can just see. So just while we're on that properties file, the other thing that you'll see at the bottom of that properties file, we haven't filled it in yet, but you've got the integration details. So when you look under the Reports tab in Papercut, you'll see a new tab called Data Integrations. If you click onto that tab, you'll see like a box that says Intuitive BI, and there'll also be a link there. So it should be under Reports. So there we go, Data Integrations. An error has occurred. Interesting.
That happens sometimes with Papercut.
Right. So what you should see is you should basically see the text that's there in the integration details. Now, obviously, we haven't set the URL up yet, but when we get to the point where we know what URL we're going to use for Intuitive, we can insert it into that properties file. And essentially, what it does is when you go to that tab in Papercut and click onto the link, it will launch the URL that you specify. So it just takes you straight into the Intuitive web interface.
So maybe is that why it's failing here, because we haven't set the URL, or
no, it should
okay,
come up. It should come up that there should be a button there.
Might just have a dirty cache. Let me check. No. Well, in any case, it should have already created the data in here, right?
Yeah.
Looks like, yeah,
Oh,
that looks good.
there we go. Okay, perfect.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm getting. All right.
So in your, if you go back to the data integrations folder, if you just go to data integration folder, yeah. So there's a file there called historical export done. So what that means is that it will essentially now, it assumes that Intuitive is now going to grab all the data that it needs, and then I think by default the maintenance window is set to 1 AM in the morning. So at 1 AM it will go through and do its cleanup routine. If you ever want to reset that, so if you ever want to get back to the point where you're doing a re-export of the data, you can just delete that historical export done file and restart your service, and it will just force it to export all of the historical data again. So
Right.
just when you're messing around with systems, it's quite handy to do that, and we've used a similar technique on the Intuitive side. So if we go to our Intuitive desktop,
Here, let me share the whole screen again. It's only showing a partial.
yeah. So in fact, if you go ahead and open up services, I don't want you to start them just yet, but just so that we can see that the Intuitive services have been created. So there should be, there we are. So we've got Intuitive Dashboards ETL and Intuitive Dashboard Service. Now, there is a way to run these services in console mode as well. So that's what I'm going to do initially. So on your desktop, you'll have an icon called Etl Service. So if you just run that as administrator. So what it's doing now is it's going and getting all of those individual files, individual CSV files, and it's loading them into a SQLite database called papercut.db. So, and actually, if you look through the, if you just use your scroll bar to to look through what's been going on, you can see all the individual files that have been loaded. That information is also sent to a log. So on the C drive, you'll find a directory called Intuitive Work Files. And then you've got the log files, and there you can see the scheduler. So all of that information that we have in the console has also been written into the scheduler as well, into the scheduler log files as well. So we can essentially see that it worked. There were no errors, and we managed to retrieve some data, which is good.
All right, great.
So before we start the Intuitive service, we're going to need to add the Intuitive website to IIS.
I don't think we have IIS installed on here, do we?
Okay.
Can it install without IIS?
We do not have it installed.
Or anything else, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Anything Intuitive requires specifically on here?
No, normally just the default is fine.
Great. Can you run it with any other web server, or it specifically requires IIS? Can you use like a Apache or something like that if you wanted to?
Yeah, I'm sure you can do. I mean, all it's really doing is, all IIS is doing is, giving a destination for the browser. So you'll see when we set it up, all we're really doing is pointing to the client directory in Intuitive to tell the browser that's where it needs to go and fetch the web files.
Okay, yeah, so then it sounds like it's really kind of agnostic. You don't really need IIS specifically. So if they have any kind of like, the customer has any kind of setup and they ask that question, we can tell them it's fine. You can use something else if you're knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we want to do is we want to add a site. So you can just do that by right-clicking on sites. So site name, Intuitive will be fine, or Intuitive_dashboards. And the physical path is C program files, Intuitive Business Intelligence, client. So if you just select client and click OK, as a default, it'll run under port 80. There is a way to get it to run under a different port. but as a default, it'll run under port 80. So just say yes, it is.
Default website.
Yeah, just disable the default. That'd be fine. Okay, good. So now we can start our intuitive dashboard service. You can just do that via the services panel. And then open a web browser. So it should just be localhost. Okay, and you can log in as admin. And the menu button is on the top right-hand side. It's the one that's three bars stacked. If you can just go to admin and users for me. Select on the admin user and select on the pen icon. It's sort of in the middle at the top. That's it. And then if you can just click on the right-hand side where it says Intuitive for Papercut 2. So all we're doing is just adding the admin user to that group because that's where our dashboards live. And then click the save icon, which is the disk icon. Great. So we're going to have a look at the dashboards and see if we've got any data in them. So if you go to the menu icon again, view dashboard, which is sort of halfway down, that's it. And then if you just expand the groups, you'll find the Papercut. So if you just go ahead and open the home page, not sure why that collapsed again, that's it, yeah. So if you open the home page, print management home page, and then just click on print summary. Okay, cool.
That looks like our data.
That looks very similar to my data. Yeah, I suppose it's the generic. It's what everybody uses for a demo, isn't it? Sales, support, finance, marketing. Good. So we've got some data flowing in. If we go and have a look, if we go back to the Papercut dashboards tab, and if you just click on user list, it's bottom right. Yeah, so we've even got some activity within the last 30 days as well, because these are only listed the users that have been active in the last 30 days.
Absolutely. So I know this user just printed recently, so she should have some updated data. There it is.
Okay, so that's as really as as complex as it needs to be in terms of setup. So everything's really built into the installer for you. There is a user that's available specifically just for adding and modifying users. So that's called the user admin. So if you log out as your admin user, so it's about it's sort of down the middle of the menu. Yeah.
All right.
So if you log in as user admin, capital U, capital A, and the password is the same. Now, so this will prompt you on this user to change your password.
It's the same. All right.
Okay. And if you now go to the menu, you'll see that you haven't got so many options.
Right.
So what we
Yeah.
wanted to do was have a user that we could handle over to customers that allowed them to administer their own users without necessarily having access to all of the back-end features. So that's what we use this user for, because not all customers purchase the license to be able to configure dashboards and add new content. So this particular user just allows you to add users according to your license.
Right. Okay. So I'll be able to, like, if I'm this user, I can just go to the admin section, users, create as many users as I need.
Yeah.
And then add them to the security for that dashboard, right?
Yeah. So if you just want to go through the process of adding a user. So you can choose what role you want to give them. So it could just be a dashboard viewer, for instance. Yeah, so you should be able to put in United States. You need to give them access to the dashboard, so you need to click on the right. That's right. Now there is a feature to be able to filter the data here. Now, at the moment, I've got the data sets set up to configure by department. So what that means, and it's also set up to filter by user security identifier. So why don't we go ahead, we'll add a filter for Octavio, and then we'll show you what that looks like, and then we can take it off again. So if you just click on the checkbox next to user security identifiers, so it's the third one down. Okay, so that tells us that it's going to apply them, and then we need to add the actual identifier at the bottom, so where the plus symbol is. And so if you just put in there you can either just type it in, or we could select the name of a department. And then just click the tick. And then up at the top, just click the save icon. So if you log out and log back in as Octavio, and then just try viewing a dashboard. So we'll just go straight into the view dashboard, and we'll just open the print summary. And then we can see that the data's filtered. Now you can have more than one security identifier. So you could give yourself multiple departments to see the results from, in which case you would see each department listed under there.
So in the user admin section, I would create two identifiers, one for support and one for accounting, for example.
Yes.
They're two separate ones. Okay.
Yeah. Although I'm not sure, there might be an in list option. I can't remember. If we go back and log in as admin, I can't remember if we do them individually, or I think we do them individually. Yeah, so you need to click on the pen icon at the top of the screen first to edit the user, and then click on the pen icon to the right-hand side of support. That work? Ah, yeah, okay. It only allows you to edit the value, doesn't it? Not the operator. So if you just click on the one you've just created, yeah. So this is just the ends, begins with, ends with, contains. So if you've got things like cost codes or department codes, you can sort of have a you know, a begins with or an ends with to identify it all within a certain range.
Right. So if we had departments that were like, you know, EcoPrintQ, they started with like EC dash something, and then you'd have access to all the EC. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And then if you log out and log back in as the we are in as admin, aren't we? No, we're in as user admin. If you want to log back in as the admin user, and then go to the menu and data set builder and edit data set. And then if you open the expands the tree and then just select the aggregated data set. So what I'll show you is that there's a filter attached to this data set. So there's a filters icon at the top of the screen, just to the left and a bit further up and to the right. So that's it. So if you click onto that one, so you'll see for this data set, we've got a filter that says when the department equals the user security identifier, then you should show the data. So you have the option to have security filters activated or non-activated for a user. So when they're activated, when the filters are not activated, it will ignore this rule. When the filters are activated, it will invoke this rule. And then if a user has multiple user security identifiers configured, it will allow all of the ones that are configured. So as we said, you know, if you had sales support, accounting, it would allow each value that you'd configured to flow through to the dashboard. Okay. Now, of course, you could have another filter here, which wouldn't be department. You could have location. With print data, there aren't too many parameters that really make sense to have as a security identifier, because we don't tend to have cost code information. Right. But from
like
the next
department, I think department and maybe like user office. Is another one maybe.
Yeah, what we're doing I've just at the moment in discussion with Papercut, and they've told me for the next version of the data integration, they're going to start exporting user accounts as well. So that might be a more logical one as well to have, would be accounts rather than departments.
Right. So right now, is it just table user, or are they also exporting table user attribute? Do you know if they're doing the attributes?
No, I think it's largely just table user.
Okay.
If you go back to one of the very early ones, you'll probably find the users. So if you go back to 2016, you'll probably find the users in there now.
There we go.
Yeah, so you just open one of those in.
Yeah, because the table user attribute and table account attribute give you a lot more filtering options based on, you know, data that we know about the account or the user.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe that's just adding too much complication. You really only need table account.
Yeah. I mean, what we're obviously doing is we're just putting this out there at the moment, and as we get use cases, we'll build a case for those, and then we'll submit those to Papercut to say, you know, we'd like to have you export this information because, you know, it's useful in this application. So that's how we did it with the accounts, because I know particularly here in the UK, they have quite a few legal firms, and the legal firms tend to use the accounts to record customer account activity. So if you want to build a dashboard around customer accounts for a legal firm, you need to have that accounting information available.
Right.
Now we can always just, you know, for bespoke projects, we can always just, as well, we can, if it's a SQL environment, we can always just go and build a query direct to the database as well. But you know, if at all possible, we are going to try and stick to this standard method of exchanging data.
Right. So as far as localization options, that's just editing the user, right, and just changing the localization option so it changes maybe like the date format.
Yeah.
Or the text, right?
Yeah. So the text would be more in the actual configuration itself. So yeah, I might need to look at.
Yeah. Personally, I don't care, but for some reason, there's people that care about that.
Yeah. I mean, you can, if for instance you wanted to change that color composition, you can just click on the header and go ahead and edit that to edit the title. Yeah, if let me know if that's a particular issue, and I can look at. I'm already doing sort of foreign language translations as well.
Right. And the date format, if we wanted something like a ISO date format, for example, just 2020. I guess today would be 2020 9/11, for example. Can we change the date format somehow?
Yes. So that date format is, where's that generated? Can you just click onto that month header for me? I just want to see how this is. Okay, so this is being generated from within Intuitive. What we can also do is generate the month directly from the data. It's probably easier to change that in the database than it is in Intuitive to handle the internationalization. So I might need to make a few tweaks to the config to get the spelling and to get the dates in the format that you're used to. But it's not.
For me personally, I don't think the spelling is as important as the date formats. Yeah. They'll probably complain about the date format more than anything.
Okay, it's a relatively simple change for me to do, so I will have a look at that for you. So now that we've got that data loading in, I have also prepared something that allows us to pull in the MPS data as well. So it's going to be a little bit manual at this stage, I'm afraid, because I only sort of wrote it this morning.
All right.
So what I need you to do is to just navigate in the file system to C program files, Intuitive Business Intelligence, Intuitive Dashboards, Tools, Etl Service, and there's a file in there called Etl Service Config. So that's okay. So you'll see inside here it's setting up all of the tables. So you see where it says tables, and then you've got environment table, and then you've got a closing statement a bit further down where it's got exactly. So in the notepad that we sorry, get my words out, in the text file that I sent you, So if you open up that text document, so what I want to do is in fact, I haven't copied that incorrectly. So effectively what I want to do is to add the top section there. So where it says printer table, table MPS monitor, that whole section I want to add into this Etl Service Config file.
But starting from here, right? Because this already includes that printer table thing.
Yeah.
And just the table section?
Yeah, just the table section. So it can just go in between two of the other tables.
You can go anywhere?
Yeah.
In which case, then let me make it a little bit nicer. We can have it just starting in here, right? Like right at the top. Let's just have it right near the top.
Yeah.
These are just comments, right? These don't matter.
Yeah, they're just comments.
Oh, great.
Okay. The other file we need to edit. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So the other file we need to add it is under papercut. So if you can edit the papercut underscore init. Okay, so this what this file does is it sets up the views within the SQLite database. And again, in that text file that I sent you, there's a few lines of code that just add a view for the MPS monitor.
Sorry, let me start closing some files here.
Yeah.
All right. Where can I put this? Anywhere?
Yeah, so put it, just go down a little bit. There will be some other views in there, so you could sort of put it adjacent to one of the other views. Okay, actually that line of code at the bottom is wrong. That the where clause, can you delete that? And copy, there's one just above where Julian day, date, now. If you can copy that line. And then just change at the end, instead of 30, if you can change that to 365. So that will load in a year's worth of data. That's it. And then there's one more thing I need to do, which is again under ETL service. Can we just edit that config file again in the section? So if we go, okay, so you can see where we've got this MPS printers table, where we've got the source. We've got a path. So at the moment it's set to C users Colin OneDrive. That's obviously on my laptop. So what we'll need to do in there is put the path to the path to where your MPS monitor files are.
Let me just grab them. I have them on my desktop. Let me move them into this into this.
So, and there's two places it's on the line above as well. Okay, that looks good.
All right.
Okay, so if we can, if you go to the folder there that you can see called initialized, and just delete that that file there. You might need to stop the ETL service running. That's it. And then if you go to, okay, something happened there. Can you just scroll up to the top and just see if?
I saw it adding the MPS monitor stuff right at the top somewhere.
Yeah. All right. We can look in the log file, can't we? So it looked as though it worked, but I wasn't quick enough. So it's under C Intuitive Work Files, log files, scheduler.
So it looks like it was adding him in there.
Yeah, can you just scroll down a couple of lines? Yeah, okay, good. That looks like it's working. Excellent. What we're going to do next is we're going to add in some configuration. So I've just configured a couple of components and a simple dashboard to pick up the MPS data. So the way we're going to import that is from the desktop. So from the desktop, you will see a icon called Server Tool. That's it. So if you double click that, and we want to import, and then go and find the location of the XML file that I sent to you. Excellent. And then you can click next. Let's select System Administrator as the owner, and next. And then we can create a group. So if you click on Global, and then select Create Group, we'll just call that, yeah, you can just, yes, so we just call that MPS Monitor. And then select that group and click Next, and Next, and Insert. Okay, lovely. So if we go back to our web browser, and click on the menu, Admin, Users, select the admin user. Okay, he's already allocated to MPS Monitor, that's good. So what we need to now do is we need to force it to load the data. So if we go to, again, if we go to the menu, and this time we're going to open the data feed. So edit the data feed, and there should be a data feed in there under MPS Monitor. Just click onto that. It might want us to restart the service. Can you just do me a favor? Can you go to the Intuitive Work Files directory? And look under Feeds. Yeah. Yeah, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to restart the Intuitive service so that it picks up the new data. What you will find is that it won't restart immediately, so you have to give it a bit of time to clear down. I think it's just releasing the ports, so it normally takes about a minute before you can do a restart. Okay, it's probably a bit less than a minute. And then you'll more than likely you'll have to refresh your browser, as it will log you out. Log back in as admin, and then go to the menu and data feed again. Edit data feed. In fact, if you just type in MPS at the top, it should search for it as well. So. Right, it's saying it's invalid. Can you click onto the icon, the leftmost icon? No, so it's the one just to the right of where it says, just to the right of where you are now, there's an icon. That's the one. If you can click validate. Execution failed. Probably the easiest way to resolve this is just to would be just to put a copy of SQLite Studio onto this server so that we can browse the database. Would that be okay?
The database is on this. Oh yeah, it's local. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So let me grab a. In fact, if you just Google SQLite Studio, it should come straight up. I think if you scroll down, yeah, you'll see it down there.
I'll just download it on my end and copy it over.
Okay. Well, in fact, before we do that, is there a chat feature on? There is a chat feature, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It'll be on your right-hand side underneath the list of attendees in the meeting.
Yeah, I've just put some SQL code, just a simple SQL statement in the chat.
I see it.
Are you already at the stage of installing SQLite? You might as well go ahead and do that. Yeah, so the database is it's in C program files, intuitive dashboards, tools, ETL, papercut, data. That's it. And if you just click onto the database, and then there's a connect symbol at the top, that's it. So we should be able to see. So we should be able to have a look in that table MPS monitor. So if you just right click on that, and there's a data tab. Okay, so we've got the data. So let's have a look at the view. Yeah, there's not a great deal of data in there.
Yeah.
If you go on the left-hand side, you've got your views. In fact, it looks like the view is missing. It looks like the view wasn't created. So we'll go ahead and create that manually for now. So if you just create a view, so if you call it MPS capitals underscore monitor underscore view, with a lowercase v, please. And then if you paste in the text that I sent in the chat, that's it. And then if you click the tick, the green tick symbol, oh, you need to run this as
the service is running probably.
No.
Right?
You need to run SQLite as an administrator.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's in program files.
That's it. And then if you click on the data tab, it should just populate. Great. If we can go back to our intuitive web browser and click validate again. Hey, excellent. So we now have our data. And if you go to the menu, view dashboard, and then you should find a dashboard in there called MPS Monitor Dashboard. Data set loading. I might need to do a restart. Just bear with me. Don't restart yet. Could you go back to the the middle tab that you've got there at the top? Could you click the save icon? So click save, and then go back to the dashboard, and just try to on the menu there should be a refresh dashboard option. To the boards, that's it. Okay, let's restart the dashboard service. If you could work out the optimum time to leave it, I'd really appreciate it.
I think that'd be really like dependent on the server, probably. Yeah.
A magic formula. There we go. Yeah, if you just want to log in and view that dashboard, hopefully it will magically come to life. Hey.
There it is.
So we have 2 devices and not a lot of printing. But I think with at least we have
unfortunately it's a public library, and obviously volume is low right now.
Yeah. Ah, right. Okay. But I mean, they're simple files, so this was not a big task to load them in. It obviously it doesn't, or actually it didn't relate on my system. Will these serial numbers exist in the papercut data, do you think?
Not in this specific data, because this
yes,
library
right.
data is from a different customer. But yeah, in table printer, there should be. Where was the data again? The papercut data? Oh, it's on the papercut.
It's in the. Yeah, you can look in the. You should be able to look in the SQLite.
All right.
Database. Yeah, so you've got a printers table there.
So table printer should have a serial number in table.
So if you go to the data tab.
What is this in the way here? All right. Let's see. There is usually a serial number in here somewhere. Right there.
There it is, yeah.
So yeah, if what I'm going to do then is I'm going to do the same thing when we're off this call. I'm going to run the installer again, but run the customer's database backup into a local papercut instance and pull that data in.
Yeah.
Pull the MPS data in, and then at that point we should have the serial numbers match up. Okay,
what I would suggest we do from here then is, once you've done that, why don't we go ahead and arrange another call, and then we can have a bit of a session where we look at how to arrange the dashboards to show the data side by side.
Right, and there will be instances like this one where you might have a printer with two with the same serial number, and that's because one is a printer object in papercut and a device object. So we'll want data for both, because for MPS it's the same thing.
But they have different. That should be fine, because I guess what we'll depending which way we drive the dashboards, we could. Well, it doesn't matter actually. We just list everything by serial number. That would only be displayed as one item. It's only if we put in the ID, the printer ID, that it would split it into 2 rows. But anyway, what I suggest you do: get your data loaded in, and then arrange another session with me, and we can go through it, looking how we're going to configure the demo. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can get that done relatively quickly, so we can have it, and we can have a session. Obviously, it's already late in the afternoon for you, so sometime next week, early next week, we can do it.
Yeah. So just to make you aware, next week, the only day I can do next week is Wednesday. Sort of round about
if that's the only day, if that's the only day you have, then that's what we'll do.
Yeah, I'm also the following week. I'm in the office all week, but then from the 25th, well, from the end of the 25th, I'm then away for 2 weeks. So ideally, we'd get this all wrapped up before I go away on holiday.
All right. So what I'll do on my side, let me create a meeting for Wednesday. We'll do the same time. I'll put it for 2 hours, but it doesn't mean that we have to be on the. If we can get through talking about the demo and how we want to set up the dashboards. I'll set it up for 2 hours. Same time next week.
Since I've already, I'm sorry, Pedro, go ahead. I'll let you finish. No, I was going to say, since I've already been through this process, I'll just replicate this process again. Once I reinstall, I'm going to wipe it clean, start fresh, as if Papercut were installed on the server, bring in that data from that library, and then repeat the same process that we set up over here. And then we'll be ready to go on Wednesday to relate that data.
Yeah. I mean, Monday and Tuesday, I'm kind of in and out of meetings. So if you get stuck, drop me an email, and we might just be able to jump on a quick call just to resolve something. Or
I mean, we recorded this, so we recorded this, so I should just be able to follow the same steps, hopefully.
Yeah, but
if I fail, if something bad happens on my end, I'll let you know. But
yeah, that's fine. If you want to ask questions, please just go ahead. Just email me directly. If I can't answer myself, I'll get someone else to help you.
Sure.
I do.
I'll set it up on my side, and then we'll let Leslie know what the plan is, and we're going to shoot for the following week to have the demo with PrinterWorks was.
Probably was going to start from scratch and do everything, but if we wanted to modify the database connection information, and where is that done?
So there's the
to the database, the SQL Server database that we connected to her.
Okay, so in again in program files, Intuitive BI, Intuitive Dashboards. Under server, you'll find a dashboard config file. Yeah, so you can see it right at the top there. So it's about the, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's what I was just wanting to know for our own knowledge.
Yeah, so this file is quite well annotated as well, so it might be worth you looking through. There's also, will tell you in here how to change the port number that it runs under on IAS as well. So
got it. Thanks.
Great. All right, Pedro, any questions on your end? Pedro, Jeff?
No, not on my
good.
All right. I'll get to cracking on this, and I'll be ready by Wednesday.